Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Warning: this video will contain spoilers for Masamune Shiro's Ghost in the Shell. This video may contain discussions and/or images of violence, sexual situations, and drug use. Viewing beyond this point is a choice you have made, and you take responsibility for that choice. Thank you, and please have a nice day.
Hello and welcome to this video. I hope everybody out in the world is doing well. Hope everyone out in the world is having fun. Today's video, I am going to be sharing my thoughts on Ghost in the Shell. Mainly the 1995 joint American-Japanese movie, simply because that is what most Americans are familiar with, outside of a niche group of anime and manga fans. So the concept of the Ghost in the Shell is we have developed the technology to take an organic human brain and place it into a cyborg body. We have advanced metals and advanced electronics and all this stuff for enhanced strength, enhanced vision, you know, all your standard issue superhero stuff. The story centers around a character, Kusanagi Motoko, also known as the Major. Matter of fact, is referred to mainly as the Major. And the primary secondary character is Bato, and to some degree a character called Togasa, and their boss is Aramaki. He's like the head of this group of cyborgs. Togasa is not fully cyborg. In fact, of the group, he is the least enhanced. He's the most human. You have other supporting characters that are really cool characters that didn't get the treatment they deserved in this movie. But like I said, this was made a joint American. They wanted to make the movie. The Japanese animation companies wanted to make this movie, but they didn't have the money that would require to make it, so they did a joint venture with American companies, which in itself led to issues down the road. Not any kind of legal issues, just issues within the fandom and other things. Before the movie was made, you had basically the equivalent of adult cartoons. You had the standalone complex, first and second. Like you had the standalone complex, and you had the second standalone complex. Then you had the standalone complex, the Laughing Man series. And you also had other movies that were made after this one. You had Innocence, and you had a couple other movies, which I can't think of the titles to right offhand. You also had a series called Arise, which is basically the backstory, how everything came together, how all these characters came together and formed this particular group, Section 9, I believe it is. It is set in a world that we had a fairly near apocalyptic war. Depending on how you want to interpret it, it was a limited nuclear war, or it was all out conventional war. So, and basically you have rebuilding, these people rebuilding, coming to your different groups. It is set in Japan. The characters are Japanese. And Section 9 is the group we're following. Like I said, Aramaki is their boss. Aramaki puts together this group out of basically elite, or not necessarily elite, just really gung-ho people that are above average in what they're doing. And basically they're a catch-all security group. I've seen where this has been referred to as a Japanese cyberpunk, and that is quite fitting. A lot of the aesthetics, a lot of the feel, a lot of the ambiance, that's the word I say, ambiance, is inspired by Philip K. Dick's Do Android's Dream of Electric Sheep and the 1982 movie Blade Runner. A lot of the book, the 1982 Blade Runner, and all the 400,000 Ridley Scott's editing of Blade Runner are very loosely based on Philip K. Dick's Do Android's Dream of Electric Sheep. But the whole, even the comic book series in which this movie is based on, of the same title, has a lot of Ridley Scott's and Philip K. Dick's DNA in it. The standalone complex takes place slightly after Arise, anywhere, depending on what your time sense is, anywhere from a few months to a year or so, maybe 2 years. You run into continuity issues because you had vastly different directors with very, very vastly different interpretations of the comic. The manga is I believe is the whole thing.
逮捕しても無駄だ。何もあかんぞ。はく？自分の名前も知らねえ野郎が。ゴーストのない人形は悲しいもんだぜ。
その気になれば体内に埋め込んだ化学プラントで代謝の制御、視覚の鋭敏化、運動能力や反射の飛躍的な向上、文句を言う筋合いじゃないわ。
疑似体験ってどういうことです？
奥さんも子供も癒しない。
全部偽物の記憶で夢のようなものなんです。あなたは何者かに利用されて政府関係者にゴーストハックを仕掛けてたんですよ。
こいつは電脳犯罪史上最もユニークと評されたハッカー、人形使いだ。 私は情報の海で発生した生命体だ。ここにこうしているのは私自身の意志。バカだ。
あの擬態、私に似てなかった。
くだらねえ。自分のゴーストが信じられないのか。
私みたいな完全に擬態化したサイボーグなら誰でも考えるわ。もしかしたら自分はとっくの昔に死んじゃってて、あの擬態の中にいるのが何なのかどうしても確かめなくちゃならないの。
鏡をて見るごとく見るところ
Female cyborgs do not have genitalia or nipples or areolas, which when the movie became popular and it showed financially feasible to start bringing the standalone complex and the rise over into America, not only did we find out that the Major has sex organs, that she's bisexual, or actually not really bisexual. She has, because part of her origin is she was an infant when her organic body was killed, and basically her brain was put into a cyborg, and as she grew, they just changed out bodies as the brain became more developed and more developed. So she doesn't have the growing up, basically growing up in labs and military training. She never got the taboos on sex and sexuality that her organic counterparts have. So she, not only does her have the genitalia, she has the she has the processing through the advanced technology for stimulation and pleasure and all that good stuff. And she routinely has girlfriends, has sex with multiple people at one time. She has boyfriends, fiancés, which, yeah, that really confused a lot of Americans when that stuff started coming over here. In fact, I think it's in the Laughing Man standalone complex. There's a little hoodlum thug wannabe gangster who's, I would guess, 14, 15 years old. The Major needs information from him and has him captured, for lack of a better term, and they're in a hotel room. She's in the process of, getting around to, she doesn't have to interrogate him, and he's kind of willing at this point, so he's not really captured. He's, willing. She's kind of protecting him. And there's a scene in which he's talking deep smack about how he's this ladies' man and he can do this, he can do that, this and that. And the Major's like, if you can do all that, come and get you some. And he does, like most men who are all talk and no action, he just kind of shrinks. I imagine there's all kinds of things shrinking, but which goes to show the differences in the how sex is treated in our two cultures. In fact, one of the things that's interesting is in the Japanese culture, the showing of genitalia is taboo, where in America it's not. which makes for some really interesting translations of some of your more risque movies, and getting that, or basically what we would call softcore pornography in America. And so yeah, it's just, it's kind of, it's a weird dichotomy. It's a weird meshing. The movie, we follow the Major. She's trying to track down a alleged hacker called the Puppet Master. The Puppet Master turns out to be a sentient program written for espionage, AI. Think about that. They were discussing problems with AI back in 1995. Terminator movies did the same thing, but and basically you go through, plus the Major is grappling with the three questions that a lot of people grapple with on and off through their life, and that's, who am I? Why am I here? Is this all that I am? And we have the culmination at the end of the movie in which the Major and the Puppet Master merge into one program. And the second movie, in a sense, touches on it, but not really. It's mainly about Bato and Togasa, but they kind of dropped the ball on that part of it. But the rest of the movie, dealing with life, death, the moral implications of preserving human beings, their brains, their ideas, their consciousness. It leans into that more as a story driver than exploring the Major's coming to terms with it. It is a really good movie. If you can get a Japanese edit of it with American subs, is better. I have one of the, on DVD, I have one of the original translation, or one of the original American translations with the dubbing, and it was changed in the Japanese, which in the spoken Japanese. It's near the very beginning of the movie, and her and Bato are communicating, and Bato asks her, why is everything, in your head, going all crazy and being all crazy? And the direct translation from the Japanese into English is, I must be on my period. And after that ran afoul of not so much American censors or anything, parent groups. Parents were buying this. They go, oh, look, it's a cartoon. Look at this for my kiddies. And they started watching it with their kiddies, and they realized this is very adult, and this whole the Americans just could not deal with the concept of a cyborg menstruating, or the brain having to have that process, the belief in that process of menstruation, getting horny, and all that good stuff. Happiness, joy, pain, pleasure. So it didn't go mad inside this robotic body. And that's just one of the things that a lot of people in America, especially, you're talking in the 90s, you know, you had some of us that were well-read, well-versed in other cultures, but yeah, not so much. Millennials hadn't gotten up old enough yet to start, you know, fixing things. Gen X was doing their best. They were just kind of awkward about it because of the way we were raised. Millennials still had another 10 or so years before they came in and started really shaking the foundation, screwing with people. So yeah, it's a really good, I do highly recommend it. If anything, from a philosophical standpoint, if philosophy and philosophical things, you like exploring things, and being Japanese, it has a lot of really heavy Buddhist and a lot of really heavy Catholicism influences in it. So there's that, and yeah, check it out, watch it for yourself, enjoy it or don't. You know, it's up to you. It's whatever your personal tastes are. If you don't like things like that, don't watch it. If you do like things like that, watch it. You know, it's you know, 6 one way, half dozen the other. So until next time, be a good human. Be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?